In this video, we'll show how you can create a connection string to point to your Salesforce account. So in Alpha Anywhere, whenever you build a grid component or a list control, you can specify that the data source for the component or the control is going to be a SQL database, and the way that you define the connection to the SQL database is you start out by creating a named connection string. Well, you can do the exact same thing for Salesforce. So let's go now over here to SQL and create a new connection string, and I'll go here and I'll call this say Salesforce demo, and then I'll bring up the connection string builder, and then from the available APIs I'll choose Salesforce over there. And then I'm at the Salesforce connection string builder, and there's two ways in which you can define your connection string. You can either specify a named resource, or you can actually specify the individual pieces that are required to connect to Salesforce. That would be your Salesforce URL, your username and password for your account, the client ID and client secret for your connected application, and then finally the client token, which you can get from Salesforce. So when you use this approach over here, you don't need to go through an OAuth flow in order to authenticate against Salesforce. When you use a named resource, you'll need to first go through an authentication flow. So I'm going to go here and start out by choosing say Salesforce local, which is one of my named resources, and you can see that the green icon here means that we've already authenticated against this for development mode. So while I'm in development mode, I'm not going to need to authenticate again because I've already got a token. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and then click OK, and that's all that is necessary to define a connection string that uses a named resource. So let's go ahead and then click OK, and now we can go ahead and build a component that connects to Salesforce. So I'm going to go here and create a new web component, and I'm going to choose a grid component, and I'll choose, say, an updatable grid, and we'll go here and we'll choose our connection string. So there's my Salesforce demo connection string. I'll connect, and you can see now that basically we get a list of all of the objects or tables in my Salesforce account, and I can choose the object that I want to use. And you'll also see that since we had already authenticated the named resource, we weren't prompted here to log into Salesforce. So I'm going to go there and choose account, and then choose the fields that I would like to see in my grid. So I'll choose ID, name, say type, billing, street, city, and state, and I'll go ahead there and save this, and I'll just call this Salesforce demo. And then I'm going to go ahead now over into working preview, and I'll see now that the data is coming out from Salesforce, and here it is in my grid component, and I can now go ahead and execute commands against the grid. So let's go here and change this from gene point to, say, GENE point partners, and then go ahead and then click the submit button, and we can see that the data got updated correctly, and we can prove that by just going back into working preview after exiting from working preview, and you can see there's the update over there. So behind the scenes, what's happening is Alpha Anywhere is taking the SQL that is generated by this grid component and turning that into REST API calls. So in the next video, we're going to show how Alpha Anywhere actually does that, how Alpha Anywhere goes ahead and turns SQL commands into the appropriate REST API calls. So we'll pause now and pick this up in the next video.